Right. Okay, so what are our objectives for today's class? We are going to look at the conventional steps of consumer behavior, which all of you are aware of, but we will look at how they differ in the digital environment. So that is the key. We are also going to look at consumer-centric digital marketing approaches. So if the behavior of consumers is different in the digital environment, what are some of the strategies that firms can follow? So here is your typical consumer buying process, which you would have learned in your Principles of Marketing class. And you're no strangers to this. So it essentially starts with problem recognition, where consumers realize the need that they have to go out and buy a product. And that stage then kind of triggers a series of subsequent stages, which involve searching for information, evaluating the alternatives, purchase decision, and then post-purchase behavior. So we are going to take a look at all of these stages in the subsequent slides. But just to get you started and to get you to recall, this is the typical buying process. In addition to this, you would have learned one more concept, that is the consumer's purchase journey. Now, the entire purchase journey can be mapped in the form of a funnel, where the first stage is awareness, and then consideration, and then purchase. Now, these two slides can be linked together because here the awareness stage in the purchase journey is linked back to the problem recognition stage. Now, we are representing the purchase journey as a funnel because the funnel also indicates the size of the consumers that you encounter during each of these stages. For example, in the awareness stage, there is the firm is trying to reach out a large number of consumers to be able to maximize its chances of converting as many as they can. Now, for those who become truly who are targeted by advertising in the awareness phase, who respond to advertising most importantly, and start searching for the information, those consumers trickle down to the next stage, which we call as consideration stage, where they are searching for information, where they are evaluating the alternatives, as we saw on the previous slide. And once these consumers, if they continue to stick around, they're serious about their purchase, they are able to narrow down their choice sets, then that results in a purchase. So you will notice that it is the number of consumers are getting filtered through the funnel from each stage to the next. So there'll be a lot of consumers who will be targeted with advertising, but there will be only a fraction that are going to convert. So considering this purchase funnel that you have here on the slide, also couple it with the fact that in the digital medium, there is so much competition that, there is also this clutter of brands and products which are trying to compete for consumers' attention. So that is an additional layer that complicates the whole buying process in the digital channels. All right, so now to be able to understand digital consumer behavior, we have to take into account that the consumer's behavior is impacted by digital technologies. Also, there are new environments which are coming up every other few years, and that's changing the way that consumers are behaving in the online domain. So the latest, like, for example, is the arrival of the metaverse. So metaverse is going to bring about a whole lot of change in the way that consumers perceive and behave in the digital channels. So let's just take a look at these different stages of the buying process and try to understand how the digital behavior is different as compared to the conventional channels, that is going to the store and making a purchase. So the first step in the consumer's buying process is the problem recognition. So like I mentioned before, problem recognition is part of the buying journey. It is the very first initial stage where you are able to identify the gap between what you have, or suddenly if you have a need, you are able to identify what you want to go and buy to fulfill that need. So identifying that gap. And at this stage, marketeers want to target the consumers, a broad base of consumers with advertising to be able to create that awareness, brand recognition, and recall. So these are some of the important functions why marketers want to reach out to consumers. Now, in the traditional medium, you would have noticed that print, newspapers, television, these are some of the ways that firms can advertise to consumers. In the digital medium, there are different ways of advertising. So how can firms reach out to consumers to advertise their products? This is my question for you. So what are some of the innovative ways that firms reach out to consumers in the digital channel to make them aware of the products? So video ads on YouTube, the YouTube advertising, video advertising is, it's growing exponentially. Email subscriptions, ads via email subscriptions are correct. So these are some of the ways. And in addition, firms also resort to a lot of social media marketing like Facebook advertising. So the whole idea of those is to make the consumers aware of the product. Now, what is one of the most popular forms of advertising is banner advertising. So banner advertising can, it is widely used in the industry. Banner ads are very simple, minimalistic ads, which are, placed on the website. So whether you're going to a content aggregator website, such as ABC News, or you're going to David Jones' website, or you're going to a third-party website, you're going to see these ads on the sides or on the top. So these are called as banner ads. And let me just show you a quick example of one. So I'm going to share my screen again. So here is MSN.com, and you will notice that the first ad, this ad on the top, is a banner ad belonging to Mitsubishi Motors. Now, some key aspects to remember. Banner ads, when they started out, they were static ads. There was no, no changing photos and no changing information. So you simply had this brand logo along with a photo of the car. So that is a static ad. But now banner ads have become dynamic. So depending on what you have been searching for in your prior searches, the ads are going to give you information similar to that. So if you were searching for price information on the internet, they are going to probably throw up some deals and advertise some deals. If you were searching for cars, you were searching for information, then they're going to show information over here. So for example, over here, this is more about information. So 10 years of warranty, 10 years of capped price servicing, it's all about the schedule and about the reliability of the car that you can count on it. So this is a typical banner ad, very simple black background with some attractive photos and the logo on the side. To be able to attract the consumer. And here in this case, you can see how it is trying to break out from the competition by highlighting the numbers 10, 10 in bold and red. Today, we can see that this is on the top. They have advertised pretty extensively. It is also on the sides. And here is another ad by realestate.com.au in the middle. It's placed in the middle of the website. And so because it is real estate, so the photos of the houses are important. So they are trying to market one particular address, that is 1108/1 Marshall Avenue, right? So, so this is the ad for real estate agency. Now you can notice that the size of the ads depends on the advertising budget. This is a pretty small banner ad as compared to Mitsubishi's ads. So they are usually, you'll find them at the bottom as well, but let's see, not always. If we come. So at the bottom of this web page, we have more of AdWords. So for example, today I'm not seeing those, but usually those are paid ads, native advertising, like we had seen in one of the last lectures. They are embedded as, articles. So the idea here is to give you, information about how to recognize these ads. So let's come back to our slide. Okay. Yeah. So these are banner ads, and you see them everywhere. And these are nowadays, these are very highly dynamic ads. They keep changing. On the same page, you'll see the information changing. The next stage is the search stage. So when the consumers have become aware, they move to the next stage of the purchase journey. Some will continue to think about buying the product in a very serious way, and they will move to the consideration phase, as we call it, and engage in search. Now, search happens, so this is one of the most important phases of the buying process in the digital channels. And it is also very, very different from the search that you observe in the traditional channels. Now, it is more granular in the digital channels. It is more in-depth when consumers are searching on for products online. So there are very visible patterns that research has found in the way that consumers search. There are 3 levels of online search. The first is the consumers are going to do a generic search across the internet. Then they are going to go to a specific website to search within that website. And then even more specific when they will start searching on a specific page of a specific website. So let's look at these different stages. So the very first stage is when the consumers are, engaging in generic search. So for example, I want to buy a pair of shoes. I know that my last pair of shoes was, let's say, Nike, but this time probably I am not sure which one to buy. So the very first place that I'm going to hit is Google search, and I'm going to put a generic term called as shoes. Now, when that happens, this is where search engine optimization becomes really important, because when the consumer keys in the word shoes, a lot of websites are going to show up. A lot of links will come. So those links will be advertised links, like for example here Nike, I don't know why Shein is selling shoes, is it? I'm not sure. Anyway, so the iconic. So all of these ads are going to come up, and then there will be organic links. Now, because ads are right on top, they are going to attract the attention, and they are going to generate interest. So it is found that consumers generally do not go beyond the very first page of the search engine results. So that is why your search engine optimization has to be really good, so that your website shows up among the top on the organic links, which are immediately below these ads. Because otherwise, if you have lost your consumer at this particular stage, then it's very difficult to get them to come to your website. So this is like, you can say, the entrance or the doorway to your brand, which is why firms, they invest a lot of money into search engine optimization and into paid search advertising. So I'm sure you can appreciate that now, why that is the case. So here at this point, the consumer is going to make a decision whether I click on Nike, the iconic, Adidas, or more than one website that I need to investigate. The second layer of search is, let's say the consumer has decided to search within, decided to click on the Adidas website. So what will they do? They will go within that website to find pages of interest. So for example, I want running shoes. So I'm more likely to click on the links which show Adidas shoes specifically for running, for marathon, or for 100-meter sprint, or whatever is the objective of the consumer. So at this point, it becomes important for the marketeers to facilitate the consumers in the way that they can find the information very easily. So you would have noticed most of the websites, they have the within site search function. And you can key in the word of what you're trying to search, and the search engine on that website is also going to try and bring up the products, product ideas, or it is going to pull in the information of what the other consumers were searching related to this product, and it is going to show you a number of, give you a number of ideas. Now, at this point, it is also important for the marketers to understand that when a consumer comes to your website, where do they click first? Do they click on the left side, on the right side? Do they start from the top? Or do they simply do the scrolling action and move out? So all of these factors become really important. So where have they been on your website? Where are they right now? Which is the particular link that has attracted their attention and has gotten them to stay on that particular website for a longer period of time. So these are some of the factors that firms have to take into account. Usually, if you click on the links on Google search engine, you'll end up on the home page or the link page to that product. So it's very important that the information on those pages is organized in a way that consumers can find the information easily. So that is the key aspect of this particular stage. That is when consumers are searching within website. Also, another thing that is important at this stage is to show the consumers that you have a lot of variety available to you. So that is why you will notice that different firms organize their pages in different ways, which I will show you in a while from now, to show the variety. So if, for example, you are searching for dresses, the firms are going to show you other options as well, that you can shop layers, you can shop kaftans, you can shop dresses, or just the tops, whatever you are wanting to. So that variety should be available to the consumers in case they want to change their decision. A lot of times we start out searching for one item, but we end up buying another item. So the whole idea of the firms is to give you that ability to make efficient decisions and to be able to identify products that match your needs. So that is why you should have a very good understanding of how your website has been organized. So that becomes really important. Okay, then we go to the final stage, and that is when you are searching with great granularity within a web page. So for example, you've decided that, okay, this is the type of hair dryer that I'm going to buy. Let's say I'm more interested in, I've identified Panasonic hair dryer, and I've identified, let's say, another brand of hair dryer. So this is the stage where, after consumers have explored a website, then they are trying to, evaluate the different products from the different brands which are offered by the retailers to be able to come up with a choice set, that is to narrow down all of the products to come up with 2 or 3 final products from which they will make a final choice. So that is where this search within the web page, the microgranular search becomes important. So the consumers are going to search visually within that web page to find the exact information that they want. So over here, page design becomes very important. So let me click on this picture, for example. So here the example is for eBay. So eBay is a very interesting website because eBay connects the sellers to the buyers. However, it is different from the traditional online retailers because there are different types of sellers available on this website. Now, those could be, a standard company that is a manufacturer that is selling on eBay. It could be a third-party retailer that is selling on eBay. For example, JB Hi-Fi might be selling their items through eBay or some other retailers, smaller retailers. It could also be individual sellers. So I am an individual. I've used my dryer enough and I want to upgrade to another one. So I'm going to sell my existing dryer. So there are different varieties of sellers available, some of whom are easy to verify, some of whom are individual sellers. So there's a higher risk because they may not disclose all of that product information. So which is why product design becomes really important. So now, as you can see on this particular slide, this is the dryer, this is the pricing information. But what is more important is that there is reviewer information as well. So there is information about the sellers. If you are not sure what type of seller this is, you can click and see the reviews related to that particular seller. And that will give you enough idea whether you want to go ahead and examine the product offering from this seller. Apart from that, so because this is eBay where secondhand products are being sold, so seller review information becomes really important for consumers to make a choice. Then the product information, and then finally the product review. So because it is selling used products, you will notice that the page design is also facilitating that. First is the seller information, and then is the product information or specifications about the product, and finally it is the product review. And then why understanding digital behaviors is important. So having gone through those three different stages of search in the digital channels, we have to understand as marketers that given that we know that the consumers are going to behave or search in a specific way, what can we as marketers do to facilitate that search behavior? So that is why understanding search behavior is important. Often consumers are going to search for products that are easy to search or have attributes which we call as search attributes. That means you can, we also call them as digital attributes. Consider, for example, a car or a laptop. Now, these are products which are intensive on information. So I can look up the information and I can come to certain decisions about these products. So they have attributes which we call as search attributes or digital attributes. I can look up information about styling, color, price, promotion. All of these are search attributes. On the other hand, there are products like apparels, which are characterized by non-digital attributes, which are comparatively more difficult to search in the online environment. So, for example, if I'm trying a pair of dresses on, it's very difficult to visualize that unless you are in an actual store, you have tried out 2 to 3 different dresses, and you have looked at, which one works the best for you, which color works the best for you. But that might not necessarily the case in the online environment. So for goods with search attributes, there are a lot of things that marketers can work on. For example, how can you reduce their search costs online? So those are some of the factors that you can bring in. So last time we had looked at, when you're searching for automobiles, what retailers do is they have these car configurators, the price calculators. All of those are tools which are meant to reduce the consumer's search costs and help them to find the right information. Okay, so that is why understanding search costs is important. And then also it is important to take these into account because a lot of research finds that if the search cost reduces by half, the elasticity of demand increases more than 3 times, so it can be tripled. So that's a very important factor for firms because, like I mentioned, there's so much clutter, there's so much competition. So, every additional item sold to a consumer counts. So that is a key thing. All right, so the other thing on this particular slide, I have mentioned durable goods. So if you want a more technical specification about durable goods, what are these? And I'm sure you already know. These are goods that do not quickly wear out. They have long replacement cycles. That means if you buy a car now, you're going to replace your car probably in the next 10 years' time. So that is a long replacement item. There's another term attached with these goods, which is we call as utilitarian goods. Utilitarian goods means it is the consumers are able to do the benefit, search benefit versus cost analysis to be able to understand what is the utility that this product is going to offer to them over time. So that is called as utilitarian goods. On the other hand, there are goods like apparels, clothes, which are very difficult to judge in the online environment. Those are called as experiential goods. Any other products that you can think of are experiential goods, which would be difficult to try in the online environment or for which the search costs are high. Yeah, services is a typical example. It would be very difficult to judge the quality of a service just by looking at the information. So we have different types of shopping patterns where for different types of products, like for durable products, consumers will search online and then go to store. For other types of products like makeup products, beauty products, they will go to the store, do their research over there, try them, buy the brand, and then continue to keep repeat buying those brands or explore information about those brands in the online medium. So these are some of the examples that you must definitely think about when you are thinking about consumers' digital search behavior. So it depends a lot on the categories as well. All right, so let's move on. Okay, the next stage of the consumer's buying process is the evaluation stage. Now, in the evaluation stage, I'm sure you all have been a part of this at some point of time. So, and especially the millennials and the Gen Z, they are very active when they are evaluating the products to put their views online. So this is an example of a person who talks about the products in the online on YouTube. So a lot of this role in evaluation is being facilitated by influencers and consumers like you and me who are quick to make TikTok videos when they are evaluating products and just upload them, right? So what does evaluation necessarily deal with? So evaluation of the evaluation stage deals with analyzing the characteristics of the product or the individual product attributes to come to some conclusion about the overall attractiveness and utility of the product. So if I'm putting all that much time into searching the product, what am I going to gain at the end if I decide to buy the product? Will it be the longevity of the product? Will it be, the style? Will it be some status that I will gain when I buy that product? So all of those factors which are unknown, the psychological factors which are unknown to the marketeers come into play at this particular point of time. So what can the marketeers do to help consumers evaluate the product? So the very first one is the way that information is organized. And the second one is to remind them of their previous choices. So those are some of the factors. Other features that the retailers offer on their website are like the sort and filtering tools, and also the way that the brands are organized. So instead of talking on the slide, I'm going to show you one. So let me pull up that website. So let's look at David Jones. And let's say we are wanting to buy shoes and we are looking for shoes on David Jones' website. So how is it, and more specifically, let's go for ladies' shoes. Now, how is that different from Winsor Smith in its organization? So here is David Jones' website. Now you will see the way that it has been organized: designer products, men, women, shoes, bags, and accessories. So when you click on shoes, you have women's shoes. So this is the organization of the website. So all types, the different varieties which the store stocks, all those have been listed over here. Now, how does the store come to a conclusion of, how does the store come to a conclusion about what are the categories, category names to be placed over here, displayed on this link? That is based on the prior sales. So the stores are always keeping a track on what are the most popular items being bought in David Jones. Based on that, the most popular categories of products are advertised over here or listed over here. So this is the organization of a certain category on a website. Now, because David Jones is catering to both men and women, they are offering these two distinct categories. Now, some people are brand conscious, or some people know exactly the brand that they are after. So for them, it is also shop by brand. Now, again, how does this come? This is also based on observations, what your prior consumers have been buying. So if I bought Lacoste from David Jones last time, they would also look into my history beyond the last purchase, that on more previous occasions, what were the brand of shoes that I bought. So based on all of that, and there are machine learning algorithms to do this. So all of that information is gleaned to identify the key brands that consumers are buying in the shoes category. So that's how it is arranged. Now, apart from this, there is the search function. So this is also, it used to be static about 10-15 years ago. Now it's pretty dynamic. So if I say search shoes, it is going to give me options of different types of shoes. So this is the dynamic search function that I'm talking about. Again, this is based on, there's a lot of machine learning happening in the background. So it is pooling the information from what the previous customers bought, and it is putting those suggestions over here. So that is about the organization of David Jones' website. So they have a lot of, they have their consumer base is men, women, kids, and they are also into different other types of, complementary categories like bags and accessories, homes and food, etc. Now let's take a look at another website. Because we are talking about shoes, now let's take a look at Winsor Smith, which is an exclusive retailer for shoes. So how does their organization differ from David Jones? So this is Winsor Smith website, and you will notice that right on top, this is their promotion information. They have the search function, which is pretty much the same as David Jones. But here, are the key, organized menu links, which are very few because it is a very highly, it's selling in a category which is pretty narrow. So it is highlighting the type of shoes that are new, pre-order. Probably the consumers like to pre-order and just come and collect the shoes in the store. So that is why you are seeing this particular category, particular menu link option here. Shop hers, and you will notice that some of these categories are different from David Jones categories for women's shoes. So here we have boots, wedges, heels, sandals. We don't have socks over there. So take a look at those categories in your own time and compare it with Winsor Smith. You will notice a lot of differences. And then you have shoes for men. And again, their collection here, the links are going to be different from that of Winsor Smith. Question: how does the website display influence evaluation of product attributes? Well, it influences in a way because you are facilitating the consumer to find their product without wasting any time trying to search through a sea of products. So over here, for example, shop hers. Shop hers means I don't have to waste time searching for women's shoes. It is bang on top of that page. But in the case of David Jones, there were a lot of categories here: women, men, bags, and accessories. So I had to go through all of those different categories to identify the one that I wanted. But in case of David Jones, it was pretty well organized, I would say, because they had shoes as a separate category, because probably shoes sells in great numbers in David Jones, right? So the way you organize your website, it is going to help you identify your product category sooner. So you've already come across the very first stage of evaluation where you're helping them to look at what they want. So this is helping me evaluate, do I want to go for platforms, or am I really thinking about heels? Sometimes when consumers are, sitting on the fence, it gives them a good idea of what they should jump into. So that's where evaluation comes from. Then sort and filtering tools like this one would not have, but I'll show you another website for sort and filtering tools. So this is the whole idea, to help them to save time when they are evaluating specific product categories. Now I'm going to show you another website, which is Trivago. And I'm sure you all have used it at some point of time. So let's take a look at Trivago hotels in Australia. So I haven't keyed in anything right now, but let's just see what is showing up. So you will notice that there are a lot of these hotels, which are showing up, and the information is organized in a way here, or let us just put in Sydney, and I put search. So I have put a generic, I've just put one search criteria. So, and when I talk about the filtering tools, these are the filtering tools. All right, so here is, this is the first aspect of sort and filter tools. So all these options and choices have come up here. But if you are keen on looking at a particular filter, for example, price is most important to you, or breakfast is most important to you, that your criteria should have breakfast. So this is a filtering tool. So this is to help consumers evaluate according to the criteria that they want. So let me put breakfast included, because when we are going on a holiday, we want good food, isn't it? Okay. So here are the choices that have come up again. So Sheraton, Four Seasons. Now look at how the information is organized. Because hotels is more of an experiential category, so the review of the consumers becomes really important here. So the reviews are given on top so that consumers can look at those reviews if they want to go through any details. The other one is location. So usually as tourists, when you're traveling, you want to be in the center of attraction in the downtown or whatever is your area of interest. If you are away hiking or you're going in nature reserve, then you want to be away from the downtown, right? So the location really matters. And in this case, also because we want the breakfast included. So now we are seeing additional information, free cancellation. So that's kind of a deal that the hotel is offering to you. So all of these hotels have been organized, their pictures have been organized, and you can use these sort and filtering tools to come down and narrow down your choices and make a decision. All right, so if you have any questions regarding this, let me know. Thank you. Okay, so let's move on from the evaluation phase to the next phase, which is the purchase phase. So this is the most challenging step for the marketeers because this is where a lot of consumers will do search, they're going to evaluate the products. And then when they reach the purchase stage, what happens? The consumers, once they have evaluated the products and reached the purchase phase, a lot of times, a majority of the consumers are not going to convert. So that is one of the major challenges. They are going to abort their purchases when they reach that purchase screen or buy screen for the product. And during that particular stage, so first challenge is low conversion rate because the consumers have not converted. Oftentimes, the consumers will put a lot of items in their shopping cart and then they are going to abandon those shopping carts. So that means those shopping cart items might remain stored on the website on their account, but they will not convert into a purchase. And so the consumer buying process in the purchase phase is a very big challenge because there is a very high shopping cart abandonment rate. Now, if you think back of 20 years ago when Amazon was probably a monopoly in this market, at that point of time, this was not an issue because that was one of the largest online retailers and most of the consumers wanted to, they had no option but to go there. But now, because the competition has increased so much, you have Amazon competing with a lot of other retailers. So if you want groceries, for example, you can either go to Kohl's, you can go to Woolies, you can go to IGA, and there are a lot of other your local neighborhood stores who are willing to take your orders online and then deliver those orders to your home. So the level of services has increased tremendously if you're buying online. And so a lot of times the consumers, they engage in this entire exercise of evaluating the products, searching for the products, just as an information gathering exercise, but they will not convert on those websites. So that is why shopping cart abandonment is one of the major challenges that retailers face. Okay, so what are some of the things that manufacturers and retailers try to do to make the buying process, the purchase process convenient for consumers? Well, despite the low conversion rates, despite the shopping cart abandonment rates, the quality of the website has to be really high, irrespective of whether they convert or not, because there will be a lot of other consumers who are coming for serious purchases and will want to buy your product. So the idea is to organize the website in a very simple fashion. So the product should stand out along with the specification for the product that matters the most. So for example, this is for shoes. Now in shoes, what is the most important thing? It is your shoe size. So that is what is listed here. Nowadays, because Shoes and apparels are categories where specifications tend to vary. So what is US 4 for Nike might be equivalent to US 5 for Adidas. So that is why the firms also provide this little thingy over here called size guide. If you're not sure what is the size, what is your foot size, shoe size for this particular brand, then you can consult the size guide, which will show you the shoe number based on your foot size. So these are some of the important things. They look very minor, but they make a major difference in facilitating purchases. So it has to be a simple website with the key information displayed there. Then is to engage the user. So you have to overcome the doubts with social cues. So for example, I showed you the example of Toronto, where review ratings were given on the top. So these do make a difference when consumers are selecting hotels. In some categories, social cues become really important. So if I'm traveling to Singapore for a holiday, but there would be other consumers who are traveling to Singapore for business. And accordingly, the choice of hotels, you will be surprised, will vary. So if I'm selecting Intercontinental, then I want to know that the consumers who stayed at Intercontinental in Singapore, did they have fun time, or was it more of business travelers that they observed around there? So those are the social cues, which is why it becomes important for consumers to read the reviews. And this is, again, another example just to show, for example, there are sales, there are deals, half price off. So all these are social cues. Essentially, you are nudging the consumers with this information to move one step closer to making a purchase. So that's why these cues are important. All right, then you have creating action points. So this you would have seen very frequently that, sometimes, especially when like Anzac Day is coming, so a lot of firms will be like, hurry up, hurry, buy the products, almost stock while the stock lasts. Yeah, so that is one ad I've seen with Chemist Warehouse. So they are like, hurry, make the purchases while the stock lasts. In the hotels, you will see only 5 rooms. Sometimes you'll see only 1 room left on our site at this price. So that is to create a sense of urgency that come and buy it now, otherwise the product will be gone. However, I'm going to tell you on this point that firms have to be very careful how they are creating this sense of urgency. A couple of years ago, Kogan was, under fire, and they had to pay fines for creating this sense of urgency on a false basis. So it was more of a, deceiving. It was a case of deceiving the consumers. So they had the products in store, and those products were, what Kogan did was, let's say the regular price of a product is $5. So I'm just giving you a hypothetical example. I don't remember the exact products because it happened about 5-10 years ago. So let's say a product on Kogan website is for $5. So Kogan advertised it for $10 for a week and then put it on sale for $5 and created that sense of urgency, hurry, purchase while the stocks last. And that was absolutely not ethical because they were advertising the product on sale when it was really at its regular price. So that led to very severe $1 million fines on Kogan as well. So the firms have to be ethical in their approach when they are creating these sense of urgencies and carrying out their promotional schemes. So that is the key thing to remember here. But these are, again, social cues, which are very important. Okay. You also have to think that, you want to encourage further purchases when the consumers are thinking about purchasing an item. So, for example, here you have a hair dryer, and which is on deal. So if you could either be looking as a consumer, I could either be searching for a hair dryer, which is on deal, but I might also be tempted by the other products that are recommended by the website. So in some cases, in fact, let me show you this. Let's go to Amazon, and I'm going to show this example. Of course, the example would have changed. So let's go to Amazon, and let's type dryers. So now you will see Amazon. So before I go to the example of dryers, let me show you how the website is organized. So here they have at most about 9 main categories like sell, bestsellers, customer service. Probably, again, these are based on the interactions consumers are having with the website, and that's why these categories are listed here. But Amazon also has a menu on the side over here which says all. So if what you're searching for is not here, just simply go click there. It will show you the trending items, and then it'll show you all the categories with the subdivisions in them. So Amazon has one of the best organized menu items websites, e-commerce websites. Okay, so let's go to dryer, hair dryer. So this is a dynamic function that is giving me a lot of options. Let's just go for just simply hair dryer. Let's see what shows up. So now I am within, I'm searching here within the website. Still, I'm within the website. I have a lot of options, but see how Amazon is organized. On the left-hand side, you have delivery. These are options which may be of importance to you: department, free delivery, Amazon Prime, customer service, specific brands. So if you're looking for specific brands, you can just simply click here. So let's go on to, let's say, Philips, and I'm still within the website. I'm seeing a lot of items here. So let's say I click on the first option. Let's go for this nice color. Now I'm going to click on this. Now imagine, as a consumer, I clicked on the item because of the color, because I like the color. So consumers have different heuristics by which they search. Some people might be price conscious, some people might be conscious about the colors that they're looking for. So those are various cues. Now I am within a web page for Philips hairdryer. So we were talking about recommendations. So if we go below this particular page, just see what this website is recommending you, that the people who bought this item also happen to buy a Barilla, what's that? Pasta sauce and spaghetti. How bizarre does that sound, right? But there's entire machine learning algorithm running behind, which is looking at consumers' purchases. You might be just very surprised to see how Amazon comes up with recommendations. And if you go still down below, it'll show you similar brands on Amazon. So because this particular brand is a high price brand at $121, it is also giving you the option of lower price brands here, and enticing you with many more, accessories for that particular option. So these are all recommendations. And this is another recommendation. Consumers who viewed this item also viewed these items. So that means it gives you a social cue. So this is also another social cue that probably those were consumers like me, and let me see what they have searched for. And that influences your search process, your evaluation process, etc. So there's a lot of psychology behind how the firms are organizing their websites and what type of social cues they are giving to consumers on the website. You have to also understand why the consumers are coming onto your website. Are they coming to purchase deals, or are they coming to purchase products because they value quality? So you have to understand these nuances and accordingly present present the information. So if they're searching for deals, then you put deals on top. And you can show the other products in recommendations. But if they're searching for quality, then you can reverse that, as we saw in the case of Philips dryer. Okay, so here's another example of purchase process of a nudging. You know how manufacturers and retailers nudge you by providing you with vouchers, enticing you with deals, and then finally we come to the post-purchase stage. So in the post-purchase stage, imagine you've just bought your product, you know, whatever you're after, your shoe, your laptop, or, you know, your hair dryer. The moment you bought that product, the consumers are typically very excited and enthusiastic. Or they might be, if they're very, very unhappy, they would be on the other end of the extreme. So typically what will happen if you are very happy or very unhappy with your product, what are you most likely to do? Yes, you are going to put a review for that product. If you're very happy, then you might repeat the purchase. If you're very happy or extremely unhappy, you might put a review of that product. If you're extremely unhappy, you want to return it. So that stage that you are undergoing is the post-purchase dissonance stage, as we call it. Either you are happy or you are unhappy. So in the post-purchase stage, when the consumers are excited and very enthusiastic, they want to express themselves, and social media reviews is one way to express themselves. If they're unhappy, again, social media reviews and also returns comes into play during that time. At this point of time, manufacturers and retailers also have to consider how online purchases can create more transactional and less emotional relationships, which means that, if you are purely engaging in a transaction with a consumer, then that means less loyalty, because consumers are going to switch from website to website. There will be less word of mouth. And there will be more price sensitivity. So the consumers will come to your website only if they're searching for a price or deal. So in the online world, an important thing to remember is that, first of all, creating brand loyalty is very challenging for most of the search goods categories. So when I say search goods categories, we are talking about products which are easy to search. For example, automobiles, laptops, white goods, all of these come under search goods. So if your website, let's say The Good Guys, let's take that as an example. The Good Guys, it's a retailer that has a selection of products from all the different brands and manufacturers. But if you will notice, if you go to their website or if you have purchased from them, it is more based on transactions. So it is based less on emotional relationships. So as in my case, if I'm looking out for deals, or if I have to buy durable goods, say a refrigerator, and I'm looking for price deals, then probably I will think of The Good Guys. But if I'm buying, let's say, beauty products, then I will think of manufacturers and retailers who have been in constant contact with me. So creating those emotional relationships is very important. It does not matter whether it is for search goods or experience goods. It can be done for both types of goods. And to give you an example for search goods is consider, for example, Mercedes. Mercedes is a very well-established brand, but their ads are fantastic. And in their ads, you will notice that they're not advertising a car, they are advertising a relationship that they have with their customers, which is to tell the new customers that this is what you get over and beyond the product. You are a part of the family. So that's the whole idea of creating that emotional bonding. So emotional bonding means there'll be more loyalty. So the consumers who are buying Mercedes, when they're going to change their car, they will go back to Mercedes and are less likely to consider other cars. And the strong benefits are word of mouth. which is a great factor in driving the purchase of expensive products. Emotional connections you also see in the pet foods categories, in NGOs, that are advertising for a cause and getting consumers to donate. A lot of emotional connections you will notice are being generated when firms are advertising, supermarket products or other product categories where they are talking about sustainability, climate change. So there they are trying to create that emotional connect with the consumers as to why you should buy from us as compared to others, because we take care of the environment. So food recycling and all those sorts of issues, they become important. So it is always possible to create emotional connections irrespective of the category you are in. And in the online domain, this is one of the critical factors to be able to create brand loyalty and to be able to create connections. Okay, then let's come to this recap slide. So initially, when we started with the lecture, I had shown you these two figures. One was about the different stages that consumers go through in their buying process and how those stages can be mapped to the purchase funnel, right? So majority of the consumers in this stage, the blue stage of the purchase funnel, are in the awareness stage and they are looking at problem recognition. When some consumers filter down to the consideration stage, they are engaging in information search and evaluation of alternatives. And when they further down, they go to purchase, they are actually making a purchase decision here. And then they go into what we discussed was the post-purchase behavior stage. So my question to you is, we've discussed a lot of examples as to how marketers can influence the consumer's behavior in each of the stages of the purchase funnel. But the question that I will leave you on this slide is, what can marketers do to influence this entire process to ensure positive shopping experiences? Because you have to think in different ways. For example, there are lots of different channels, there are lots of different devices. So it's very, there are a lot of, the number of touch points has increased. So what can marketers do to ensure that positive experience? So I'm going to give you the example of one such strategy, customer-focused, consumer-centric strategy that most marketers are now following. That is a shift towards omni-channel marketing. So earlier, when consumers were buying online and in-store, we had the concept of what is called as multi-channel retailing. But multi-channel and omni-channel are two different concepts. So let's see how they differ. So both multi-channel and omni-channel, they involve selling the products through multiple channels, multiple devices, but the key difference is on how that buying process takes place. So a better way is to look at this picture. So if you look at the first picture on multi-channel, here is the customer who has the option to buy from a store, from a website, from the mobile phone, through social media ads, or by directly calling the company and making a purchase. So all of these channels, she can choose any one of them and make a purchase. However, in multi-channel marketing, these are treated as separate channels. They are called as silos. So that means if I buy a product in the store, I can return it only in the store. If I buy a product from the website of that retailer, I have to return the product by posting, through a parcel using Australia Post. I have to return the product. I cannot go to a store and return the product. And same way, if I have ordered the product by phone or any other channel, there would be different ways of returning the product. So that is called as multi-channel. But can you see in omni-channel? So before I come to the question. In omni-channel, what happens is these channels are not treated in silos, which means that if you're buying a product in the store, let's say an easier way to understand it is, let's say you've bought a product through phone or social media or through a mobile browser or through a website on your desktop. You're not happy with the product, you want to return it. So you have the option to go back to the store, to your nearest store, and return the product as long as you have the receipt. So a key difference between the two is in omni-channel, all the touch points are connected, and that makes it easier for consumers to make purchases or returns. The whole experience is much more connected. It's a connected experience as opposed to a fragmented experience observed in multi-channel marketing. So my question to you is, what is the advantage of omni-channel over multi-channel marketing? Given that I've explained to you that experience in one can be fragmented as compared to experience in omni-channel. So how is that advantageous to the consumer? Why are we calling it as a customer-centric or customer-focused strategy, retailing strategy? Exactly. So it's more of a convenience. We have to make it firms that are successful in making it convenient for their customers to buy the products are the firms that are going to succeed in generating the sales. It is as simple as that. No, the amount of post-purchase dissonance increases, even if you're happy with the products, but the channels are not connected. Because consider, for example, laptop or high-tech products. If you bought them in the store, but you don't have the option to get your queries solved through web chat or other channels, then it creates cognitive negative dissonance. Okay, so that's why omni-channel is the key buzzword nowadays, and you will hear it everywhere. Okay, so with that, we come to the end of the lecture almost. Now, this is a slide that is just meant to portray the importance of omni-channel management. So one of the advantages of this strategy is that it takes into account the consumer's valuation of the shopping experience, both in the online and offline channels. So, for example, there was this research done by Google for 800 consumers in 2021. This is during the period of COVID when a lot of consumers shifted online. So, what are the key advantages of online versus offline shopping experiences? Some of the advantages of the online was better ability to compare the products, browsing for the products, customer reviews, ability to pay. But advantages of the offline channel were to get help and advice from the sales support staff, customer support, ability to try and test the product and get to know their quality, shape, and size. So it is important that whatever product category you are selling, it is crucial to organize the shopping experiences accordingly. So whether you want to lay more emphasis on online or offline becomes the key determining criteria. So with that, we come to the end of the lecture. And just to briefly recap, we looked at problem recognition, the different stages of consumer behavior, and we tried to understand how these are different in the digital channel as compared to the traditional channels. Then we also concentrated on search in the online environment, which is radically different from search in the traditional environment. And we noticed that there are 3 levels of online search. That is a generic search across the internet, then within a website, and then search on a particular page. We looked at all of the different aspects that influence consumers when they're making purchases, and therefore to have a customer-centric approach becomes very important. So I'm going to stop here at